Well, hello again. It's our opportunity to get our update on expanded influence and the 3 C's that are involved in that: campus expansion and communication and church planting. Pastor Rock, did you have a good week?
I did have a good week, thank you.
Yeah,
I was expecting a warm week and got something other.
So my grandfather said, don't plant your tomatoes until
No,
Memorial Day.
that's right.
You never know what's going to happen.
May 15th is the frost-free date.
Right,
yes.
right. So, when I was on staff a few years ago, we were having
We
some
call those the dark ages.
You have no idea. But we had some discussions about some campus expansion that we haven't heard much about recently in some of our discussions, but it's sort of emerged again, and it's the expansion of the sanctuary. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on in that area.
Well, thus far in Expanded Influence, we've been talking about building a hub here in our campus that will connect everything seamlessly, and a hub in which we replace the children's ministry space across the street, because we are going to be losing that, and we have to make plans to have children's facilities here. But in that discussion, while we were thinking about improved student ministry space, children's ministry space, ease of flow for families, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we really weren't thinking much about sanctuary expansion. Then, as we saw a week or two ago, it appears that the building of the garage, though not ended, it's still very much in play, and the health network still wants to do that. It just appears it's going to be delayed a bit. So with that, we shifted our focus onto the hub design and so on, feeling that may go first and the garage second. And we were planning the reverse of that. But as we began to talk about that, we began to think about sanctuary expansion, because we know that the city building codes would allow us to, in essence, kick out this wall and build out right up to the sidewalk because of the zoning here, and that would give us 300 additional seats in our sanctuary. And giving us 300 additional seats in our sanctuary would enable us on Sundays to really have a more user-friendly, staff-friendly, volunteer-friendly schedule. Because our current schedule of 4 services on Sunday is very demanding on our staff, very demanding on our volunteers. I often mention, for example, those who participate in music ministry, whether than vocalists or instrumentalists. By the time they do a rehearsal Saturday afternoon, then the Saturday evening service, are here at 7:30 a.m. for sound checks, finish at about 1 o'clock on Sunday, it's basically a weekend commitment, in addition to rehearsals through the week. And so if we were to have greater seating, it would be delightful if we could have less Sunday services because of increased capacity. It would just be easier on our staff, on our volunteers, on everyone. So we're looking at the possibility of that, since it appears the garage will be second instead of first. We're just re-examining that again. No firm commitment, just, Lord, what are you saying to us, and is this one of the possibilities? It's really very friendly in terms of the cost. It's a very minimal cost, and it could be done, the bulk of the work, without any disruption here. We'd get everything basically finished and then kick out the wall and just have a few weeks of dirt and dust and then be right into a new setting. So we'll see.
Would it, is your thinking, and I know this is all preliminary, just talking stage, would it affect the stage? I mean, we can't really expand our choir. We can't do much more there because of the stage. Do you see it impacting
Well,
this?
we haven't designed it out thus far, or that far I should say, but we would be able to either extend the stage in this direction, which would give us greater capacity, or we might be able to put it at an angle over in this area with the seats this way. It would include balcony wrapping around with the existing balcony, but once we build it, we could shift all of the seating more at at an angle instead of this straight on. So we'll see. And the people that are helping us, we've said, look at that too and give us some counsel on that.
Now, when we record this, it's obviously Saturday night. We have
Right.
some empty seats. So again, somebody says, people just don't come on Sunday. Come on Saturday night. There's still capacity.
Right.
There's still space on Saturday nights. What's faulty in that thinking?
Well, you can't make people attend church at times they don't want to attend. I wish we were that good, but we aren't. We can offer other times, but the reality is those second and third hours on Sunday are still the most popular hours. People vote with their feet. They tell you what they prefer with their feet by their attendance pattern. So we set up a Saturday night service. It's a healthy service. It's a well-attended service. This is more than 1.5 times the size of the average church in the United States. So we consider it a success, and it does help with allocation of the crowd over the weekend. But we can't make people come on Saturday night. And I don't want people choosing their attendance time out of guilt or shame or anything like that. And besides, it doesn't work anyhow. The reality is we all do what we want to do. So I don't think we're ever going to fill Saturday night necessarily, but we don't need to. It's a very successful option in our weekend.
But if you come to second and third service, you would still see some empty seats.
You'd see some empty seats, and that's because some people are very, very thin. You can't even see them. No, the reality is, studies have shown, and they've been doing these studies for years and years, in the United States, you will settle in at about 75% of your seating capacity. Now, you may fill your seats for a season, but it will
special
always,
occasion, Easter,
or maybe over 6 months or a year, but it will always then drop back. It's almost magical to about 75%. I can remember when we used to, on Sunday in the highest attended hours, we'd have at least 30 people standing across the back of the balcony and people standing along the sidewalls in the sanctuary. But people won't do that indefinitely. And people, if they arrive a couple minutes late, don't like to have to walk over 7 people to get to one seat in the middle of the row. People, it always settles back to about 75% capacity, and that has happened to us. We have seen those popular hour services shrink a bit from what they once were. It's not a spiritual problem. It's just human nature. People don't like to be shoehorned in and crowded.
Yeah, and if somebody's running close to the start time, they may not come because they know if they get there right at the start time, there are those dynamics. And that's just...
Right, we did it for a season, but nobody does it indefinitely.
Yeah, now, we have these conversations, but what goes on? Who's talking about this during the week? I mean, you know, who's involved in the conversations that is talking about Hub and things like that?
Well, we have a number of our staff who are working on that, and volunteers from our elder board and our governing board who are working on that. And then we've employed an agency called Costco, not Costco, not the place where I bought food today, but Costco. And these folks are specialists in basically stepping into a church, interviewing large number of members and staff, watching what goes on, and then out of their acquired expertise, giving recommendations. And that's all they do. They just give their recommendations of what they feel from their vast experience would work in your setting. So those people are working on our behalf. I think they've interviewed about 50 people extensively. And then again, we've got a large group of leadership just wrestling with this daily and weekly behind the scenes. And in all of it, having no agenda but finding the will of God. That's our only agenda. If we do our homework, God will show us what he wants.
But in the meantime, if you have a question, you can submit it, put it in the offering, just write it out. email it to us. We would love to include
Wrap it
it
around a brick, throw it through the window.
I was thinking more of two $100 bills. That's what I was thinking. They would wrap it around. But that's just how I think.
That's why you're no longer on staff, John. No.
And that's why the budget is going down. But anyway,